Welcome to the Way of Biohacking, brought to you by Qi Body and Spirit. This is Dr. Tai.
Hi, I'm Linda, Nutritionist Yogini. What's up? What's up?
Hello, everybody. I'm Nikki, employee of Tay's. I was going to say intern again. I'm so used to it.
All right. I think associate is fine, right? Yeah. Today's topic is chakras. Chakras are well known in the yoga community. It is a system of energy that a lot of people talk in reference to. And today we want to have this discussion about how to use this system to enhance your overall health. All right, Linda, I think you're the most appropriate person to talk about this since you have the most experience in yoga. So what can you tell us about, chakras?
So, I don't know too much about chakras, I would say on a superficial level.
Okay.
Just because even in modern yoga classes, there will be, chakras would be alluded to, but there's not necessarily a deep dive into all the different aspects and all the different meanings and metaphors that come with each individual chakra point.
Okay.
So I understand that chakra could be translated to many different things. One of the translation is wheel, and that's one of the ways I look at it, that chakras are different spinning wheels, different energetic points in the body that's associated with nothing physical per se, but their energetic centers aligned along the spine of the body.
Okay. Nikki, have you heard anything about chakras?
Before this episode, I did some light reading, but I was planning on doing more asking questions on them because it's something I don't know much about, but I do want to learn. I'm really curious on how yoga ties in with them. I saw their connection to glands, certain glands, and I was curious on how yoga poses would affect those glands and those points.
I think the best book to answer your question, I don't possess that knowledge, I think is a doctor by the name of Deepak Chopra. And he has published a book about chakras and the different glands. And I think the throat chakra, it's more of the thyroid gland, right? The third eye chakra is more associated with I believe, the pineal gland in his books. And he goes into real depths into the science of the glands, right? And he puts it into the chakra system. Yeah. Okay. The little bit of understanding I know comes from, I can reference several books. One is the Ayurveda, the Encyclopedia of Ayurveda. It talks about the different chakra systems from a very academic level, from a medicine perspective. And the other one is Chakras and Yoga. They have different postures to open up different chakras. And I think the most academic book that I found was by Swami Sivananda on Kundalini Yoga. And she writes about each chakras from a very Hindu perspective, and how people in India with the Hindu religion and practice through the process of Kundalini Yoga, they talk about the different deities, and each chakra has its own diagram. And the diagram shows like different deities, different, I'm going to say, shapes and figures with leaves and
Petals.
Petals, yes. Petals, colors, and everything that is associated with chakras. And I think a lot of people in the United States have a very new age or understanding of chakras is associated with the colors of the rainbow. I think is Roy G. Biv, I believe. But from a cultural standpoint, you have to give like credence to the Hindu religion, because I believe that's where it comes from.
When I was trying to learn more about chakras, because going to regular yoga classes, teachers will occasionally reference different chakra points like the root chakra, sacral, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, especially third eye. A lot of these terms get thrown around a lot, but I wanted to dive deeper, and I dove deeper because I started attending Kundalini classes. And there they actually associate different sounds with the chakras, and you meditate on the different chakras, and that's when I started having a deeper understanding of the chakra system.
Can you tell us more about these sounds and how the chakras gets associated?
I don't know too much, but I know Dr. Tai does. So different sounds activate the different chakra points, and they work with what you would technically say like unblocking those chakras. And that's something very common you hear. It's like, oh, my chakras are blocked, or like, oh, my chakras are opened. So that's one way to work with them is the sound meditation.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that real quick. Nikki, you really got to start watching The Last Airbender again.
I knew you were gonna say that. Once you mentioned like leaves and stuff, I knew it was gonna be brought up. But I do have a question. And Linda mentioned plexuses. Now, plexuses, I know are bundles of nerves that run along the spinal cord. Now, is there a connection? Is it the same kind of plexus when you're talking about chakras and plexuses? Is it the same thing as bundles of nerves?
I think there are numerous ways to get to this thing, these energy centers in what is called chakras, right? And one thing is the sounds, right? I believe the first chakra is the L sound, lam, right? So if you go ooh, and for those who are listening or watching this show right now, if you practice like ooh very strongly, you could feel the vibrations happening in your private areas. And the next chakra right above that is the V sound, as in Victor. If you go, you could feel a lot of vibrations happening below your belly button. The next sound is around your belly button, and slightly above is the ram. You feel it right in your, I guess, your solar plexus, I would say. Right? And the YA, the yi, is the heart sound, right? The heart chakra sound. So if you go yam, you can feel it in your chest. The ham sound, ha, is more of a throat. And if you put the ksam sound, right? KS.
They also associated it with om, on the third eye.
Yeah. If you go you could feel the vibrations occurring in your where your third eye should be. And then of course there is the om sound that everybody practices after when the yoga class ends. I forget how it's properly said. I know you were
my teacher taught it. It's om is actually 3 sounds.
Yes.
Like a lot of things in the Hindu tradition, there's a beginning, sustenance, and an end.
Okay.
So o.
Right. So if you combine those 3 sounds, you're connecting your heart all the way to the top of the head. So it brings your heart and mind together as the last part of the yoga sequence. So sound is one way to approach and feel where these chakras are. And another perspective is, like you said, Dr. Deepak Chopra, he talks about the different glands. He sees it as not as sounds to locate it, but where the glands are. And then I want to reference back to The Last Airbender, where Aang meets a guru, right? Up in one of the, I guess, the mountains, I guess. And he learns how to open up his chakras so that when they're all open, he's able to go into the avatar state, right?
Or accessing the source.
Or accessing the source energy, right? And I thought it was really cool and very poetic the way the cartoon showed to these children about what is meditation and how to overcome it. I think in the cartoon, if memory serves me correct, the first chakra has to do with, fear, right? And he says, just let go of your fears to open up the chakras. The next one has to do with pleasure and guilt. He felt like Aang burned Katara during the fire, whatever, practicing, the firebending practice. Then it was the afterwards is the
solar plexus.
And
solar plexus typically has to do with authority.
Okay.
And power.
And next was the heart, was love, right? he was taught to, what was it? Think about all the people he has lost, right? And he needed to transform into a love, right? And for him was Katara. So he was learning how to transform all of his emotions. And the throat chakra had to do with truth and lies. And if you tell the truth, it opens up your chakra. And if you lie, then you are closing that chakra. Mm-hmm. And your mind was illusions, right? And if you really think about it, what he was teaching was, I guess, emotional, right? How to open up your energy centers using emotions. So if you're afraid all the time, what are you afraid of? And how do you conquer that, right? From an emotional standpoint. So I think there are different avenues on how to approach these things.
So I practice Katona yoga, mm-hmm. and though we don't necessarily reference the chakra system directly, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher does teach a lot about the glandular system. Ooh. And she also splits the body into, there's many different ways to approach different metaphors and how it's related to the body. Mm-hmm. But she always talks about how the bottom floor, from the belly button down, which I associate with the root chakra, is sex, money, food, water. So it's all the basic necessities.
Okay.
And specifically the root chakra is also associated with the emotion of fear. So anytime you are missing any of those necessities, if you're struggling for food, if you're struggling for money, if you don't have proper shelter, if you don't feel safe, mm-hmm. and that could be like a physical, like safety, or that could be like, I don't have enough money to pay my bills, so you have this sense of insecurity. This will all make your root chakra imbalanced.
Okay. Yeah, because you're not rooted if you can't sustain a place for yourself. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And then moving up, going back to the sacral chakra, the second chakra, that chakra is usually associated with water, mm-hmm. and emotions and desire. And not only is it physical desire, but also creation. So that's the opposite side of it. So there's different ways of looking at it as well. So that's really the source of creation, which I find really interesting. Because a lot of Buddhist meditation, they use this mudra with your hands, where you place your right hand on top of your left hand and connecting your thumbs together. And that, if you look into different mudras, that's associated with creativity and the sacral chakra. So a lot of Buddhist meditation is associated with overcoming desire, which is really the Four Noble Truths. Yeah. And that's a main part of meditation, is detaching yourself from desire.
Then now, does the name of it, like the sacral chakra, does that indicate where its location might be, like the sacrum, or where it's believed the location is? Does the name correlate with a location at all?
Yeah, so sacral chakra, so we can move up the body. So the root chakra is really the perineum, I would say, the middle of the pelvic floor. Moving up, the sacral chakra is parallel with the sacrum, but it's not necessarily like on the sacrum. I would say it's somewhere in the middle. Again, no one really knows exactly where these are, right? But it's a similar place. And then moving up would be the solar plexus, which is right under that soft spot underneath the center of the rib cage, right below that bone. That'll be the solar plexus, and that has a lot to do with expression of power, and again, the relationship with authority. Moving up, like whenever say like, oh, your heart center, like when you feel something, you usually place your hands over your heart. That over there is the heart chakra. And then the throat, of course, the throat chakra is associated with self-expression. And then moving up, the third eye is the center of the forehead. And then the crown chakra is that soft spot on the top of your head, where babies are, say, when they're born, that part of the skull is yet to be fully developed.
Yeah, the fontanelles. Yeah. All right, cool. So just to recap where we're at, we talk about chakras. There's one way to really get to know chakras from a glandular perspective, from an emotional perspective. The other one was physical, right? There are yoga postures that opens up the chakras. And I guess, what would you call the way Katona yoga described it? Like, what would be that category?
So it's definitely a combination of using the glandular system. They like to make it very practical, but then also very energetic. So there's a mystical side of it. Because again, the different chakras are associated with different emotions and what you're dealing with. One book I really like to reference, not related to Katana yoga, but was part of my 200-hour yoga teacher training. It was a highly recommended book. It's called Eastern Body, Western Mind.
Okay.
I think the title is really weird because, but it really associates how it's tied in with psychology, modern psychology. And they talk about how different chakras are developed at different life stages.
Okay.
And then it works up the chakra system. So if you also look up chakras online, they'll tell you like this chakra is developed around this age. So really setting the foundation, like I think between 1 to 3 years old, that's when your root chakra is formed. So if you're a baby and you're in a situation where your parents aren't stable, you're going to feel that instability, and that might be some trauma that might be stored in your root chakra. And there might be some dissonance between the physical world and your mental world as you grow up because of that.
So how many chakras are there in total?
That is a tricky question.
That is a tricky question.
It really depends on
the school of thought.
Exactly.
Okay. So there is Muladhara, the first one. If I'm saying this, I'm probably not doing it justice the way I'm pronouncing it. So please excuse it. So I believe it's Muladhara, Spadhisthana, right? Then is Anahata.
Manipura, the solar plexus. Anahata is the heart chakra.
Manipura, Anahata, and what is the...
Vishuddha is the throat chakra.
Vishuddha, and the third eye. And then
Ajna.
So it's the number 7, right?
Yeah.
I was also told that there is a chakra below us, which is the earth, right? And the chakra above us, that we need to come aware of, right? So I guess that's 7 and 9, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And I think these like systems kind of gives you like a, what's the word? A lens view, the way you see the world. Like you can see the world in like everything of yin and yang, right? And of course, 5 element people or 5 phases people, they always see the world in 5s, right? And I think people who practice yoga, they see the world view from this chakra perspective. Everything they see in perspective. I've met somebody in my New York College acupuncture school where they were talking about, first you get the idea, and then you visualize it, you talk about it, you feel it in your heart, then you have a gut feeling about it, and of course this was a lady who said it, and then you give birth to it at the end, right? You give manifestation, right? So you conceptualize from beginning to end, and I thought that was very like practical in the way she used the chakra system to like organize her thoughts, and I thought that was very helpful. Now, from what I understand in Ayurvedic medicine, they have herbs that are associated with the different chakras and stuff like that. So I'm guessing. I'm not an Ayurvedic herbal practitioner by any means. I do know about herbs, but they have like ginger. I guess would it affect the Manipura thing? And those are my guesses, right? And I think people who are using a lot of herbs, they use this type of system to help. Oh, I'm having the first chakra issues with, what was it? Money,
sex, food, and water.
Money, sex, food, and water. If you don't have an apartment and you want to, maybe you can take different herbs, right, to situate yourself better or put yourself in a better state of mind. That would be one way. And okay, now Nikki, I have a question for you. You're just being introduced to all of these things, right?
Yep.
What is your take on this type of system?
Well, I like the idea to tie them with glands because it gives me something I'm most familiar with.
Okay.
More familiar with, like how you mentioned how it affects, certain herbs affect certain points, and that would make sense if you're looking at it from glands, because certain herbs will affect the immune system, and glands have a heavy impact on the immune system, so that would make sense. So I'm trying to tie them together with stuff that I already am familiar with, like glands.
Okay, so you like the very tangible approach to it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. For me, I prefer to see a lot of the emotional thing. I gotta say, after watching Last Airbender, and I'm like, maybe if I do this meditation myself, I can access my avatar state, right? But I've met teachers who did similar styles of meditation and how to transform emotions. In the Taoist meditations, you learn how to transform emotion through the 5 phases. But I think the chakra system, because there's more things with it, it feels to me a little bit more complete. Because in my meditation, kidney has to do with fear and courage. So you think about what you're afraid, and in my meditation, I found that I was afraid of sharks, and I had a memory tied into it. When I was swimming in the islands in Thailand, I got really far away from the land, and the water became super cold all of a sudden, and I realized, oh my God, like I'm really far away from land, and the water's really cold. I could get eaten by a shark. And that fear, I remember, it was very real. And I started swimming really fast back to land, and I'm like, a shark's gonna eat me. And in my meditation, I had to visit that memory, and and then how do I have courage? I got to swim with the sharks using my imaginations, and I'm becoming friends with the shark. I'm grabbing their fins, and of course, this is all imaginary. But in my meditation, I had to somehow overcome that fear. Next was the wood element. I'm in the forest. And what is that? I'm thinking about anger, right? And how do I transform my anger into something, the way my teacher described it was uprush. You got to have the revolutionary spirit that you want to change. What are you angry about that you want to change in the world and within yourself? I think the people are great examples are Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Gandhi, revolutionary people that brought really change. And you just go over the 5 phases. However, in the chakra system, you have to deal with illusions about yourself, right? What kind of truth are you telling? And it makes you really reflect, which is a form of a prayer almost. You're praying not to, I guess, God, but to yourself, and you're doing a lot of psychological work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I dabbled lightly with chakra meditation. My mentor told me, just play around with it, see where I go. I felt like I had a lot of sacral blockage.
Okay.
So that had a lot to do with creativity and handling emotions. And the meditation I practiced was visualizing the chakra and its location. And even though it's a wheel, it's spherical. So imagining this bright, so sacral chakra, the color associated with orange. So I had to imagine this orange bright ball, and then I had to imagine it spinning, and I had to get it lustrous and clean and bright and spinning, and it has to be moving and it has to be dynamic. And it was really hard in terms of getting all those details and having that clear visualization and feeling it in that space. A few years ago, I lost my voice. And it happened to be at the same time when I was unemployed. I was trying to create a new job, but I didn't really know how to put it down on paper. So my mentor was like, think about what it means, not only physically to lose your voice, but metaphorically what it means to lose your voice. What are you not expressing? So clearly I had a lot of throat chakra issues, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And again, I practiced a lot of chakra meditation in terms of imagining that blue spherical energy and getting it to be this crisp, bright blue, and having it be moving and not stagnant and not lagging. So these are all different techniques you could use to maybe activate or help clear or unblock these channels.
What about physical? Let's say I'm just gonna say it, like let's say my throat chakra is off, it's something to which you're going through, and if I was to go to class and do a lot of throat chakra postures, we got that book, right, about how to do a chakra yoga sequence for specific chakras, like because in the way I understand Qigong is that muscles hold memories. Like your neck and shoulder, people who have a lot of shoulder pain is oftentimes they hold the weight of the world on their shoulders, is a lot of responsibilities. So people who have like a lot of responsibilities in their lives from all walks of life experience neck and shoulder pain. People who have hip pain, like a lot of sciatic pain, we associate that with a lot of indecisions, right? And also people who have a lot of back pain, lower back, like in the lumbar area, is they don't feel supported in whatever they're doing, whether it's family, friends, the company that they're working at, and that's why they have back pain. What else? People who have, what is that? A lot of anxiety, like their shoulders are like caving in, right? So if they do, what is that thing that we're doing?
Like heart openers, back bends, camel pose.
Yeah, back bends. Don't we have a thing coming up in March?
Yeah, we have a liver health and back bends workshop.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I think about that back bend move that you did, for me, I love that back bend because one is so good for your posture. Like you feel amazing afterwards. You could breathe better. Nikki, remember that like we're on our knees, right? And we're leaning back and putting our hands on our heels, right?
Camel pose.
Camel pose. How did you feel when you did that posture and coming out?
Well, I really like Linda's yoga in general.
Yeah.
So I usually feel pretty good after it. But I know that there's a cold plunge coming up for you guys, and there's also the polar plunge this Sunday in Long Beach. I was wondering if maybe a cold exposure would have any effect.
Cold exposure have an effect on?
Chakras.
Chakras? I would guess on the fear component, because like when you're like when you're in the ice water, you're like freaking out, right? You're like thinking for your life, and yeah, I think definitely fear, like because you're not grounded, I guess, right? You're fearing for your life.
And I think also a lot of third eye, just because you're seeing through the illusion that you have this fear, but you know your body is safe. It's 2 minutes, and your body can physically handle that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Because I invited like a lot of people to like, I'm not getting into ice water. And I'm like, well, just come for the breathing, but come prepared. And if you decide to do it, because the crowd energy is different, right? Everybody's willing to do it. I would say, yeah. But I think that going back to that posture, what would that be opening, like more like heart?
So camel pose is a back bend, and back bends typically associated with the solar plexus and the heart. A lot of them, they're called heart openers. So you really open the upper body, which are both the solar plexus and the heart, but also it has a lot to do with the throat chakra, because something common in back bends is a lot of times people just release their necks, and then that way the aperture of the neck is way too open. You have to find that balance with the throat chakra. So it really has to do a lot with the upper chakras, and that's something you see a lot in yoga, is that especially in modern yoga there's a lot of emphasis on doing. So there's a lot of upper body work and a lot of lunges, but there's not a lot of grounding work, like the pigeons, the fire log pose, lotus. You don't see that too much in modern yoga classes, and that has a lot to do with the root chakra and the grounding and the sacral chakra as well. So these are traditional poses that were probably practiced more, especially the lotus pose. It's like the yoga pose that has a lot to do with grounding the body so that you could find that connection and the mediation between heaven, earth, and yourself.
Okay. Nikki, what draws you to which, like, forget chakras, which glands are you really interested in, like, learning out how to hack?
Oh man, Well, the pineal gland is associated with the production of DMT.
Okay.
And a natural DMT, and everyone kind of thinks that you don't produce DMT. Your brain actually produces it, and it's part of how we perceive, reality. But when you take it as a drug, you get a whole other experience. But I think that's really interesting to me. If there's ways to kind of gauge that, like regulate your DMT production, that would be really interesting. The glands in the neck are heavily to do with your immune system. So strengthening the immune system would probably strengthen those, and things like that. White blood cells get stored, and they're leukocytes and granulocytes and stuff.
So I want to touch a little bit on the pineal gland. This was like years back at the beginning of my when I first started practicing. The pineal gland, a lot of people start saying like fluoride toothpaste. You got to stop using fluoride toothpaste. It calcifies. Yeah, it calcifies your pineal gland, and I was hearing all of this stuff. So what did I do? I stopped using fluoride toothpaste, and I started buying fluoride-free toothpaste. Right, and I stuck with it, and I don't know if that really decalcified my pineal glands or not. I don't think there was any tests to find out if it was calcified or not. And I encountered a lot of YouTube videos, people talking about the pineal gland and decalcification. You need to take a lot of green juices on a regular basis, things like that. And I guess being a holistic healthcare practitioner, not knowing what it was doing, but I guess leaning towards a healthier lifestyle, I stopped using fluoride toothpaste once and for all. When did you first do that?
Ooh, I was dating this guy who was all about the holistic things, and he really got me into like chakras as well.
Yeah.
And that's when he told me all about, he was sending me all these articles about the pineal gland and like basically this epidemic on how everyone's pineal glands are calcified because they're putting fluoride in our water.
Nikki, are you using fluoride toothpaste?
I use fluoride free. I also filter my water.
Okay.
But I don't know the whole science behind it. I've seen some stuff, but I just think it's kind of odd that it's added to our water without really much of a say. Like it'd be different if they said, all right, we add fluoride to the water because, it's been shown to help with, prevent cavities and things like that, but it's kind of quiet. Like they don't really say anything about why or anything like that. So this feels odd to me, so I'll just filter my water and avoid fluoride.
When did you stop using fluoride toothpaste?
It was while I was interning with you. I remember I asked you about it. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to completely cut it out. Because it is a chemical.
Yeah, it is a natural. It's not a naturally
There's no harm in not using it really, unless it really does affect dental health, but I've avoided it, and I eat pretty well. Yeah. So I don't really have a lot of dental issues. I've noticed actually my gum inflammation has decreased recently.
I don't know. I got a reference back to who was that? Dr. Deepak Chopra. I'm guessing the adrenal glands are part of another part of the chakra.
The sacral chakra.
The sacral chakra. And I guess for women is the ovaries, and men is the testes. I guess that would be
the root chakra, the sexual glands.
The sexual glands. And what would be in the manipura, the solar plexus?
The pancreas.
The pancreas. Wow. Okay. And the heart chakra.
The thymus gland.
The thymus gland. And the throat chakra would be the
thyroid. Pineal. Well, the third eye is actually pituitary, and the crown is pineal.
Ah, okay. Oh, cool. Yeah,
so in Katona Yoga, we do a pranayama series where I've had teachers reference the glands as we work up the body. So even in pranayama practice, we have a sequence. We work from our foundation, we work our way up, activating the different glands. And a lot of it does go back to visualization and goes to your imagination. And you really have to use your breath to guide the imagination, or use the imagination to guide the breath, in terms of bringing your energy and your flow, your prana to those areas so that they become lit up.
I mean, I think we're coming to a very interesting part of the conversation where visualization is now talked about it, right? Nikki, have you done any like visualizations and like guided meditations or anything like that?
Unless we've done it when I was there with you guys, no, I haven't.
Okay, so my friend a long time ago turned me on to these like audio CD. I mean, this is when CDs were still popular, and there was a CD called Kelly Howell. I don't know if you ever come across with it. She plays like these like binaural beats in the background, so like you kind of get like ooh, like a little bit, you know, into like this mood, I guess. And she does this like beautiful guided meditations of like you're walking in the forest, and it's very descriptive. And this reminded me of the Taoist meditation that I would do with my teachers. And right now, the biohacking community is so caught up in breath work and the science behind breath work. But a lot of these people are not encountering like a deeper practice where they're practicing sounds in breath work and breath work with visualizations. And I think I've told you, like when you smack your hands like the back of it, and then you activate your Qi in your hand, and you start listening to your hands, you could actually feel like magnets in your hands. And while you're taking like deep breath, like, and feel your hands and breathe out, feel your hands, you could feel something like, I guess, pulsing in your hands, like magnets. And in some of the Taoist practices, you're breathing to feel. So you're breathing and feeling, but at the same time, you're breathing and visualizing what you're feeling in your hands as like fire, right? And when you're breathing slow, like you know, it's changing colors and blues. I'm very interested in the coming years if people were to study how sounds affects different parts of the body, like the chakra sounds. Are we really stimulating chakras? Are we stimulating these glands using these sounds? I would be very interested in finding out like research studies if they do find studies in this.
I mean, even if you YouTube now, like they play different frequencies to activate the different chakras. So I would be definitely interested to see more research come out to see how these are actually associated in a scientific way.
So I've actually, now that you've described it more, I have done something similar to that. I've done what's called a NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, and it's kind of like a sleep hypnosis where it's like a long, like hour-long video where someone will kind of guide you through a sleep hypnosis meditation, and it works fairly well. If you wake up and you can't fall asleep, it actually helps.
What is this called?
NSDR, non-sleep deep rest.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. I actually found out about it through Huberman.
Okay, cool. Can you so give me a scenario. Like, let's say
it's similar. You said like you're walking through a forest. Like, it's similar like that. Like, they'll describe a scenario. Like, imagine you're on the beach and they'll talk at a really calming tone, and they'll have maybe like some wave noises in the back, and you're supposed to do like a breathing instructions, like, you know, do a long exhale, short inhale. Like, they'll instruct you through that, and it's like a sleep hypnosis. It'll help with relaxing before sleep.
Oh, like a guided meditation.
Yeah, also sounds a bit like yoga nidra, which is kind of like a sleeping yoga in a way, but you're not actually asleep. You're in that state where you're about to fall asleep, but your mind is still engaged.
Nikki, how many times did you do that? Has it worked for you?
I've done it a few times when I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have trouble falling back to sleep.
Okay.
That's only when I would do it. And yeah, it has worked. I know it would work because I would wake up and the video would have played, and I don't remember like finishing the video.
Oh.
So I did fall, like I did like kind of like go back and go into my thoughts and fall asleep.
Well, Linda was just talking about different hertz, right? Yeah, I see those YouTube videos all the time, like gamma and theta,
Right.
and I thought they were very hokey and stuff like that in the beginning. But like when I do listen to it, sometimes I do feel it. I don't know if it's placebo effect or whatever, but I do feel something as I'm listening to the different hertz. Did you do any meditations with that type of stuff?
Again, that guy I dated that was really into chakras. He used to always play the one for the heart chakra.
The heart chakra.
And that used to just always be in the background. And something else from Avatar: The Last Airbender about the heart chakra. It's not just love for another person. It's a universal love. It's a universal compassion that you're trying to unlock when you're opening your heart chakra.
I was through the Rosin Salt Cave. I met this Kundalini yoga practitioner. Her name is Kundalini Carissa, and she does this like great chakra bowls with certain frequencies. They're so hypnotizing, and I visited her at the Salt Cave, and she was doing this like gong. You have experience doing that stuff, right?
Yeah, I was really into sound baths when I moved to LA. Yeah. And what a sound bath is basically you're laying down typically on your back, or you're seated up in a meditation position, and the sound healer will play different healing instruments. A lot of them are the Tibetan bowls, or now they use crystal bowls. There'll typically be some gong component. And it's just these different patterns of sound. Sometimes there'll be some drums, which is really nice, or like some chimes. And it's basically a guided meditation through sound. So they bring you through this sound journey. Some of them will bring it through a chakra process. So you do have this experience of moving up the chakra system as well.
Wow, that's I don't know much about it, so this is like something very new that I don't know much about. But I remember when she was doing the sounds, like everybody's eyes are closed, and then like what was cool was I started feeling these sounds, the vibrations in my body, and at one point with my eyes closed, I felt like it was blasting at me. Right, and I peeked my eyes, and she's right in front of me, like waving it at me, and I'm like, okay, duh, I'm feeling it right in front of me, and I gotta say, it puts me in a different state of mind.
Like sometimes I go to these sound baths and I know it's the gong playing. I know it's like a certain distance away from me, but somehow something in my body must be off because it irritates me, and you really have to practice breathing through it, and eventually your body will calm down. Sometimes you'll feel yourself a little elevated above your physical body. So it does bring up a lot of emotions, and it's just another way of accessing your subtle energy body.
That really reminds me of cold exposure. It's where you know that you're all right, and you're just cold, but your body kind of freaks out. You lose your breath, and if you focus on breathing, you'll be able to relax yourself. It just made the description really made me draw a parallel.
Yeah, I could see that. Look, but you went in there, you did it like a champ. Like I remember.
I tried to. I wanted to be as nonchalant as I could. I just thought like this isn't that cold. Like I remember getting in it and like thinking in my head like this isn't that cold. Meanwhile, it was pretty cold.
Yeah, it's ice water.
I do a lot of cold exposure now. I take freezing cold showers every Sunday. Me and my roommate go and run in the ocean.
Wow.
Here.
Nice. So what's your roommate's name? Let's give him a shout out.
It is Pat.
So what does he think about all this biohacking stuff that we're doing? Like I'm sure he's getting,
I'm not sure. I haven't talked about it.
But he goes to you through the ocean.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of addicting.
So you did talk to him about like Wim Hof and all that stuff.
Well, he knew about. He was kind of into that already.
Oh, okay,
Wim Hof.
I gotta ask, how is the college setting of like the biohacking like interest?
Well, I went to like an involvement fair where like it's just a bunch of clubs. Like there was like 100 clubs there, and I didn't see anything kind of close to what we do. But But I had an eye out. I was hoping to see something, but I didn't. I still think it needs to grow a little more in time.
You gotta start your own club.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I gotta find people first.
You know, back in college, I started my own club. Right, I wrote this grant and all this stuff, and like, if you want, like, I'll help you, like, you know, start your own biohacking club.
I know how to do it. You just need like a few signatures and stuff, and then you can. But I have to find people.
I'll get all the signatures at the yoga studio. All right, today we're gonna wrap up our episode on chakras, and please leave a comment on what you thought about chakras, and we'd be happy to read your comments and answer back, and hit that like button and subscribe, and share this video or this podcast with people that you might be interested in. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Peace.
Peace.